But if we need them to sign that title for you, then I need to do it in.
This title?
Yeah.
We won't need it signed until we sell it. We're going to retail that one. And get good.
By the way, good to have you back, Susan.
Thank you.
Not playing hooky now.
Even though it's a short stint.
Yeah, short snap. Just a few hours.
Okay,
All right, we're ready.
we're up and running, the clock's on. So I call this meeting to order, DeKalb County Commissioners. The date is October 24th, 2022. You know, 2 days ago, we had a bunch of twos in our date.
Right.
And I thought about that a week ago, and then it went right by, and I never paid any attention. So I missed it.
Oh, well.
Just the way it goes. Morning, Dottie. What you
Good
got?
morning. Hey, good morning. Something that I'm not sure that you have heard about is that Lutheran Health Network and Anthem are in negotiations, much like Parkview and Anthem were in negotiations just a few years ago. And if you recall, there was quite the kerfuffle about all of that, and it came down to the last second before there was some resolution. And so Lutheran Health Network is also in negotiations.
I'm not sure you
They
can
have-
really call that a negotiation.
Yeah, well,
I think
Anthem
it's
has
a little bit
terminated.
of strong arm
Yeah.
from Anthem.
Right, yeah. They've actually terminated their current hospital contracts with Bluffton Regional, Duke's Memorial, DuPont Hospital, Lutheran Downtown, Lutheran Hospital, Southwest, Lutheran Kosciuszko, the Rehab Hospital, and the Orthopedic Hospital. So anyway, there are just quite a few moving parts to all of this. I did reach out to our Anthem people, and this is their latest and greatest statement. They agree with me that, you know, it's more than likely it's going to come to a fruition, and it will all work out. But, you know, 99 and 44 100% of the time, hopefully it will get resolved before the effective date. Anyway, their official was, during this period of rising inflation, consumers are understandably concerned about healthcare affordability, especially here in Indiana. That's mine. They are currently in contract negotiations with Lutheran Health Network. Anthem members continue to have access to care from Lutheran health facilities as the current contract remains in effect until December 31st of 2022. The driving issue in this negotiation is the cost of health care. Hospital costs in Indiana are the 7th highest in the nation, and Lutheran Health Network is a high-cost system in a high-cost state. This is Anthem telling Lutheran. Yet they are asking Anthem and its customers to pay more. Without a renegotiated contract, the reimbursement to Lutheran facilities is on pace to be more than 3 times what Medicare would pay for the same services. Anyway, so I just thought I would bring that to your attention. We are keeping track of it, and actually we'll have a meeting on Friday with the people at Lutheran, and I'll be talking to them also about what their intent is for any sort of emergency or urgent care up here in DeKalb County, because right now, for any of our work comp claims, we utilize the occupational health clinic out at Parkview DeKalb, and for the last 2 years, I have not been happy with the service. Last year, we did have a Parkview representative come in. We had a very nice meeting, talked about all of my issues that we have with the paperwork flow, just the flow. It used to be, when it was just DeKalb Memorial's, occupational health clinic, I would be on the phone and I would be faxing over the authorization to treat at the same time. the rep there would answer the phone. Hi, knew me immediately. Hey, I have an employee coming in. This is what happened. This is the employee's, name. And they said, okay, well, we'll wait for your fax. And, oh, wait a minute, I think he just arrived. Oh, okay, see you later. Click, that would be it. Now, we call into a central dispatching center to make an appointment. We fax in the form, nebulous number someplace else. And I have been on the phone on hold. Thank you for calling Parkview. Your call is very important to us. There are 2 calls ahead of you. And so, I have an employee that's on his way, out to be treated. And while I'm on hold with this call and we're trying to fax in this authorization to treat, Lindsay's number is ringing, and it would be the rep from out at the DeKalb Occupational Health. Hey, we think it's one of your employees. He says he's one of your employees. Do you authorize? It's like, really? Seriously? And so we're still having the same issues that I had over a year ago. So I intend to talk to Lutheran about what their intention is out there. Of course, that doesn't take care of our when we do have those departments that are 24/7 and an employee has to go to the ER to be treated. That could be an issue, but it's already screwed up anyway when any of our employees go to the ER to be seen. So what's another screw up?
Are the doctors that are here, that are in the Lutheran net, are they employees of Lutheran?
We will find that out.
So you don't know yet whether the primary care physicians can get coverage for our employees?
You mean separate from our work comp issue?
You separate from work comp?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I should have explained that.
I do not know.
So the Lutheran docs are the same as the Parkview Physicians Group now.
So
There's
we're
an awful
Lutheran
lot of it,
Physicians Group,
Yeah.
but that's something we need to find out. And
But there is some cross-network participation between the Lutheran docs and the Parkview docs.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, with the, depending on what kind of plan that you have with Anthem, the
And
physicians
you
are here and there.
You
and-
mentioned
yeah.
orthopedic coverage. Is that both on West Jefferson and in Auburn?
It appears that it is because it's all Lutheran Health Network. Yep. So it's all over their network. Yeah. So anyway, it's healthcare. It's healthcare in Indiana, anyway. I have friends in other states, and it's like, really? You're having that kind of a problem? You guys pay that much? It's just what it is. So anyway, there's that. On the same topic with healthcare, last week I had an inquiry from one of my HR network people asking me about TB testing and screening for community corrections. So I reached out to Michelle, and she said, well, for employees. Well, she knew that they used to. Like, okay. So I think I opened up a Pandora's box with all of that. And I did contact our health department. And of course, the jail. There's really, per the State Department, there's no law covering jails when it comes to the TB testing, although the CDC recommends testing on hire and annually. Michelle out at Community Corrections, having come from Noble County's probation, they used to test their probation officers upon hire and annually, but that was because they really went out and they visited people in their homes. There was a lot more home visit connection sort of thing. So this is another little project that we're working on to see if community corrections employees need to be tested, especially with that close communal living situation, Which, of course, then, I'm always thinking outside the box. What about Sunny Meadows? That's another communal living. And so we're checking on that to see if, if we have to do that. It's not a nursing home. It's not, it's not the this, it's not a that. It doesn't, does it fall? Where does it fall? And should we go ahead and take the high road and just do something? So anyway, I'm working on that to see about, I'm looking at it from our employee standpoint. I don't know about our residents. If they need to be TB tested, which I do know Sunny Meadows does, but I wasn't quite sure. We thought community corrections maybe. So it's, another communicable disease that kind of flows between safety and HR. So working on that. And speaking of Sunny Meadows, I do know that when when residents are brought in, they are TB tested, and there are a couple other things. I think they have to have a COVID test at the time, but we'll work on that. So on the hiring side of segueing into Sunny Meadow, going from all of it. We are doing 3 background checks. We had 3 individuals apply last week, and one was for a full-time position. We had 2 part-timers, so we're working on those.
This is for Sunny Meadows.
For Sunny Meadows.
That's good.
Any director position or where we at?
Well, you guys have not told me to recruit for
Right.
that position. I still have, and one of those individuals who had contacted one of our employees. It was actually the one who had contacted Don. Emailed me over the weekend asking if I had heard anything about that position. When I spoke to Lita, was the other employee who had gotten an inquiry on the director position, and she tells me that we may lose that person in the running because she may decide to go and back to doing her traveling nurse duties that this person had been doing. So I did give everybody a copy of the job description, and right now, if you tell me to go ahead and create a posting, I will do that based upon that job description. But I still think it will eventually need to be changed with a director. If you guys don't feel that that person should be living there, there's a few things that will need to be discussed, in addition to asking council for more money, since we have always included the living arrangements as part of the compensation package. So, once again, a lot more moving parts and pieces to this, so.
Just my 2 cents, and I think we need to go ahead and at least talk to those 2 prospective directors, although, as you said, there's still a lot of moving parts there. I did a follow-up email this morning with our occupational therapist to see where we're at on that proposal.
Okay.
We've gotten distracted from a number of priorities that we need to be paying attention to, and that's one of them. And I think we need to make sure that doesn't happen, because we've got a whole list of things we need to be looking at. And Sunny Meadows is pretty close to the top. Personally, I don't know how we can recruit anybody under the assumption that they're going to live out there. I just don't think that's going to work. But my sense is that council will be more than amenable to making the financial commitment on whether it's an interim basis or a permanent basis.
Well, I had a meeting on Thursday with the Job Classification Subcommittee. So I had 3 council people there in my office, and we did discuss Sunny Meadows a bit. And I think there would be support to be able to do that, to try to recruit someone who would not be living there, but yet have a quality person, be able to pay enough. So,
I think we need to have a serious conversation on whether we are going to continue with Sunny Meadows and keep it open and make a decision sometime fairly soon, one way or the other, because we're just in limbo as far as this director position is concerned. We can't hire somebody and turn around and close it. I don't think that's going to be the thing to do. But how do we transition? Like I say, we need that information that you've been gathering. We need to decide, and what are we going to do? And then it's moving forward, transitioning to move those people to different locations if that's what we're going to do.
Well, in my sense is, Bill, and I share those, your concerns and your thoughts there. But I think that let's just take that end of the spectrum that we decided that we just can't make it work, and we're going to have to do something on an alternative side. I think that's probably a 6 or 8 month process at least. So we still have, we just can't shut it down overnight.
Obviously.
Yeah. So we're going to need to do something in the interim. And I don't know how we present that in terms of hiring and so forth, but if Don leaves on December 13th, we've got to have somebody there that can keep the ship upright.
Right.
And so forth. And I don't need another job right now. So.
Well, if we're gonna keep it going, I think we need to have, such as like this traveling nurse that you respectively said, that would be ideal because she could dispense meds and that would help us with our insurance. Yeah. That's one big problem I have with Sunny Meadows is the fact that we're held hostage on our insurance because we only have 1 or 2 companies that'll quote instead of 20. And so, but Mike is correct. We can't just say, okay, we're done with it. We have to put a plan into place. If we're going to shut it down, that's fine. But you can't just say, okay, we're going to shut it down and see if you got 3 weeks to get out. I mean, that takes a lot longer than that. So,
yeah, and I really feel that we need to, and I think all the options need to be on the table, but I think we need to give it a fair evaluation as to what the best path forward is, and then make the decision. And whatever we do, we need to do it the right way.
but to Bill's point again too, how do you hire someone and say, hey, you're going to be here about 4 months or 6 months?
That's why we've got HR.
Yeah. No, really though, I wouldn't want to hire someone because it messes people's lives up when they take a job and then you terminate them right away. I don't want to do that.
I think we need to be honest.
Yeah, we got to be upfront.
Yeah, the only possibility is a semi-retired or retired person that has some expertise in that field that could come in and do it temporary, as a temporary service.
That's why Dottie gets the big bucks.
That's right.
Figure that stuff out.
Bill?
I'm taking notes.
Were you on the commissioners when the commissioners went through this before? I know Todd and Mike were not.
No, I wasn't.
I was not on the commissioners. I was the one that brought the proposal to the floor that we close it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was, well, and I would say the 3 commissioners at the time were all thinking it's got to be closed. And then
Community.
the community just rallied
yes.
around it and it became a political hot potato and they decided they would commit to keeping it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's just background. And you already would have known since you made a presentation.
Yeah.
Well, and
Remember that was a huge response.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was.
And
Yeah.
especially the people that were living there that wrote all these
Yeah.
heartfelt kind of stories about how wonderful it was for them and please don't shut it down. And
And they even came in and testified.
Right,
Yes.
yes, that too, yeah.
Very, very passionately,
Yep.
of course, which I understand that, and it's,
Well, and what I found was Bowen and Northeastern centers don't have enough group homes to accommodate the residents out there. You're talking, 20 residents, maybe. And at the time, they'd be onesie twosies going into a group home, probably far-flung, nobody would be together. It's probably worse now with mental health and group homes and staffing group homes. It's probably worse. And Northeastern kind of juggled the idea that, well, maybe we could take it over. But really, who wants to take over that liability, the building itself? I did reach out to Rick Ring asking if anybody had ever applied for it to be on the National Registry. Because there is money for, doing that sort of thing and bringing it up to, it's like, you have all kinds of code issues and ADA issues and things like that. But if it were on the National Registry, well, it would be a historical building, and would you get money for it? Would it be enough to even entertain that idea?
Now,
That'd be a nightmare.
So it's
the cost to bring that up to any sort of standards and ADA compliance and so forth would be
I know.
astronomical. I don't think there's enough grant money in DC to fund that.
Yeah.
Well, there's enough, it just went, whether or not you want the strings attached to it.
That's right. Yeah, well, that's the other thing. There's always,
But yeah, I like your
Those-
thought, but the problem is they'll say, hey, you can't put that shingle on there, that had a slate roof, it's a historic building, you have to keep it slate, and then you have to do this, and you have to do that, and
well, the problem, I think, would be that I don't think they would allow us to do all the necessary things to make it ADA compliant.
still retain the
Still
historical.
retain the
And still
historical
wouldn't work for
designation.
us, yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Well, I do understand that there are, Lita has, because Lita's been such an advocate for that, she's definitely not for closing it down. She told me that she has 4 organizations that have asked about adopting them for this Christmas, that she has worked behind, to try to get a dumpster to clear out some of the things that have, been left behind when I was out there. God love people. I'm sure that they meant well with donating exercise equipment, but there sure were an awful lot of. Now, back in the day, I had a stationary bike, and it became the clothes dryer. We kept hanging things on there to, dry out the shirts or whatever. Well, Sunny Meadows has a lot of those types of things that need to be cleared out for egress and ingress, just to walk down a hallway sometimes. So, there are just things like that.
And I give Lita a ton of credit for being so passionate about
Oh my gosh,
Sunny
yes.
Meadows and the residents out there, but I think the fact that we run a county home and have to rely on donations and so forth is just inexcusable.
I have often said that's the only department in DeKalb County government that has to run partially on donations. And it's really sad. Yeah.
And I think if anyone really went out there like I did and looked at, like we all did.
Yeah.
You really look at those rooms, you look at the bathrooms, you look at the kitchen, you look at the basement. The place is just it's a dungeon, number one. It looks like an institution.
Yeah.
it was like.
There's nothing home about it. Now, granted, the people that are there, a lot of them are very, they love their home. They really, but really, I think we're doing a disservice operating something that's as subpar as that place is,
And there are some alternatives if all the other things fall in place. that I think are very doable, very possible. We've had a lot of backstory conversation about a number of things for the last year, probably. So I think some of those things are viable depending on the decision we make as far as is the entire situation viable. I mean, in terms of facilities and so forth, I think there's some alternatives if it makes sense to continue to run the county home, but that's what we have to really take a hard look at, really top to bottom.
When we brought this up several years ago, there were residents out there that were not residents of DeKalb County. They were a couple from Elkhart County, I believe, and that was kind of a sticky point, as far as I was concerned. Why are we bringing in people from other counties and supporting them?
Well, and my wife also asked me last night, she goes, how do you qualify to live out there? And I said, well, I know they have to pretty much kind of be able to take care of themselves, but I don't know what the test is. I know some of them poor folks have schizophrenia, which really means you really can't take care of yourself. You're on meds, someone has to give you the meds. To me, that's more of an assisted living type nursing home situation.
Well,
and
it is.
do we open to liability at that point?
Well, and that's the problem. That's exactly why I think the first step has to be the assessments,
Right.
individual assessments, to make sure that
That's a
that
little
we're
scary, though, that we're having those folks out there, and we have their lives are in our hands, and we're dispensing meds. And I don't know. We got to get on it, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just got an email back from the OT group, so got a 12:15 phone call scheduled with them, so.
Oh, good.
I'll know more.
Good.
Okay, well, so how about I come up with a posting using sort of interim director as that's why I get paid the big bucks. And I'll send it on to you guys.
Yeah.
We can have some discussions. At least we'll have something maybe a little more concrete to discuss,
Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's do
Yep.
that. Because
All right.
if we can find somebody that'd fill in for a while, that would be just super great.
Yeah. Even 6 months,
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah, and we can
I
make
know.
this transition and get
Yep.
everybody placed someplace that suits them.
Yep, yeah.
Okay.
Well, also then on the recruiting part, the Extension Office had interviews last week and doing background check on at least one of those individuals that they're looking at. The Community Corrections is still taking resumes for the part-time secretary position. I already told you about Sunny Meadows. Title 4D has a bank of interviews today for their case manager position. I don't have an update, at least as of the weekend, on anybody for the highway department, but last week when I talked to Ben, he hadn't had anything either, and we're, trying to think outside the box, just who else, what else there is. Sheriff's Department, I don't have anything yet on that one. There may be some. We get a couple inquiries on Indeed every week, and what I've taken to do now, the same thing I'm doing with the Highway Department, if we actually get an inquiry, is I will send that resume to that hiring department, and the hiring person will give that person a call. And it's a little in reverse because both of those departments require you to come in and fill out an application, but instead we're having those departments actually give them a call. Hey, this is what we're looking for. You still interested? So it's another, I call it another touch, trying to get the word out. And Development Services, we did an interview Friday a week ago and did the background check, and we have offered one of the individuals the position, and like I said, we're waiting for the background check to come back. So things are sort of moving, at least on the kind of the clerical side, not necessarily, some of the other positions. So still looking at all of those things. But yeah, so that's what I've got, and I know you've got some things going on soon. So what else do you have for me?
Todd, anything?
Good.
Mike?
I think we covered everything.
Okay.
I got one more.
Okay.
Self-funding insurance.
Yes.
Where are we at?
Yeah,
How
yeah.
do we proceed? What's the plan or as far as putting this into motion?
Okay. Go ahead, Mike. We are desperately looking at that. We've reached out to several brokers, ideas, and one of the things.
Actually, we have a couple of timelines,
Yeah.
that we'll need to look at. And
Yeah.
I think we're probably about ready to summarize all of that and have some discussion fairly soon. But I think that it's very doable.
Yeah, I think so.
How does that work? I mean, that's due in July, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So how do we transition into that and get that into the budget? There's going to be a gap there between the budget and when we implement that. So how does that work? Do we need to start having a conversation with the council on transitioning into self-funding?
Probably will be.
Yeah, I think we need to nail down the numbers a little tighter before we have that conversation, at least so they have some,
Yeah.
council has
At
some
least
idea.
a good ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty optimistic that it's a big cost savings all the way around
Yes.
for the county and the staff and,
Yeah.
And the citizens of DeKalb
well,
County.
yeah, everybody, I think everybody wins on that. And.
Yeah, I think overall-
this is what we've been playing with is self-funding done correctly, so we don't end up with $1 million liability like we did
Yeah.
the last time.
We only have to have the stopgap, like
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Insurance and-
Definitely,
Yeah,
and that's part of
the
the
stop-loss policy.
stop loss.
Right. Yes.
Well, and
Definitely.
I still
Yeah.
say a lot of those costs are the administrative, when they say the claims were 2.1 million.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, 970,000 of it was administrative fees, and I get, there's administrative, but it's really not a claim, that's the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
So that's the only business I know where you can say, well, our operation costs, not our claims.
I think we can operate it for less than 900-some thousand.
Well, that's what I was wondering,
That's the thing, and that's where the savings is going to be, actually.
Yeah.
And the incentive for the employees to be healthier, and, they're going to have skin in the games when they go to that doctor, they go to the hospital, it's going to have to.
And if we're able to put a clinic in place, perhaps that will
yeah.
help. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we have a really great potential for the clinic situation too. But the real key to self-funding, though, is to get the right TPA, third-party administrator
right,
Yeah.
involved, because that's exactly where everything went south last time
yeah,
for the county. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's a,
So when the numbers are closer, I probably need to know about them so that,
Yeah, because it's all going to come out of the auditor's budget.
right? Because there may, depending how it all works, there may or may not be a budget issue.
Yeah,
So before you talk to council, we probably should meet and talk about it so we have a plan.
yeah.
Just for a frame of reference, since none of you were here the last time we had it, the $1 million was actually the council underfunding what the commissioners asked for to not get in trouble.
yeah.
And then there came a time when the State Board of Accounts had audit exception to what we were doing and demanded that it be paid back within a certain period of time. And then the council got on board to do it because they were directed to. I don't want to throw them under the bus. I'm not trying to do that. It's just background for the
Right.
three of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
there were plenty of missteps to
Yes,
go around.
lots of
on that
blame to
whole-
go around,
Enough
yeah.
blame, for
Yeah.
everybody to feel it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true. Yeah. So
And
we're-
Anything else,
Yep.
anyone?
But at least the good thing is we are moving forward.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah,
Yeah, keep the ship going.
we will.
let
Yep,
it-
we sure will.
Don't let it die in the Mississippi in the mud.
All right, well, you guys know where to find me.
All righty.
All right,
We need you, we'll find you.
okay.
Thanks, Addie. All right, we got a few minutes. Let's jump over and clean up some of our discussion items. Payroll?
Move to approve payroll
We
as presented.
don't, we
Oh,
don't.
no, have no
It just
payroll?
didn't get taken off, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, we signed it, so you're good to go.
Well,
then.
that
That
was
was
for
for
your
last
approval
week.
from last week,
Yeah.
yeah.
Minutes. You checked, a chance to read the minutes?
Yeah,
I didn't see,
to me.
I didn't see any problems.
No.
Motion?
Make a motion to approve minutes.
Second.
And motion second, approve minutes. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same, motion carries. Claims.
Read the claims.
That was a rather low total.
It was a little 200 and some thousand, I
Yeah,
think.
couldn't
Yeah, it
bel-
was a light claim batch.
Right.
Make a motion to approve claims.
I will second that one.
Motion and second to approve claims. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Claims are approved. Bravo, our favorite. Judge Squealer is late. I don't know why he's late. He's late.
What?
He's late.
Yeah,
Was it late? I didn't notice
Yeah.
that.
that was for last
What's the
Friday's
story?
Oh,
mental
was
health,
it?
mental health summit in Indy. He was there, honest, I'll vouch for him.
Yeah.
He only had travel on it, but
Yeah, he only had mileage. He didn't have a hotel.
Yeah, and I guess, and I'd have to look at the other ones that you denied, because I didn't even, I know the one was really late.
yeah.
That was weeks late. The one,
This
the other
one-
one.
I was gonna say, because I don't know, we received it before he went, we just didn't receive it for your meeting before he
Where he
went.
went. I see it's dated the 19th,
So I don't know how you guys.
the day of the,
I got a dumb question. We approve these every week. We gripe about them every week, or I do. They're going whether we say yes or no or not. They're gonna get their money, yes or no, or before it ends, it's gonna happen. If these departments are going anyway, why are we even looking at this crap? Why don't we just change the rules to where they're paying for it out of their department? Why do we have any say over it?
we do scrutinize some of these.
I know,
Not-
but-
I think
It
it's
just needs
worthwhile.
to be eyes on,
If we don't have this with my approved stamp on it, and if that's not submitted with the claim, we don't pay it.
I know, I'm just saying eventually though, all it does is cause heartache and headache between departments. And I agree if the people need to follow the rules if we have a rule in place, but are you gonna tell a judge, hey, I'm not gonna pay your mileage because you were,
Well, that's the thing is, it's a judge,
yeah.
and the court system up there,
I'm just saying we spend a lot of time talking about this and nothing ever really comes of it. We're talking pennies.
well, we did deny one and it stayed denied.
Well, yeah, and it should have because it
Should've,
was
because-
inappropriate.
Yeah.
If
But
we
there's a difference
don't-
between inappropriate and being late requesting mileage.
Yeah.
If we don't do this, it'll go out of control. And that's why this was implemented to
I
begin
think
with.
I think it's wise for us to at least take a look at it.
Know what's
every
going
week.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be happier, I suppose,
It'll
instead
get
of
worse.
approving it.
If we're not paying attention to it, it'll get worse.
I would rather have a report of what travel was every month and then scrutinize it from there and then be able to talk to heads and say, is this really necessary? You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know. It just seems awkward to me.
Well, I know it gives you guys heartburn, at least.
Okay, well, I said what I needed to say.
So what do you want to do with the judges? You want to okay it, deny
We
it?
do approve travel as presented.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve travel. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same, motion carries. Okay, well, I see Chris is here. We want to start a little early? Yeah. Let's get you in, get you out, get you back to work.
Morning, Chris.
How are you guys?
All right, how are you, sir?
Good. Feeling better?
Yeah,
Back from Florida?
quite a bit better, yeah.
Yeah, good.
He
Do you
never,
guys have
he,
copies of the contract? Do you have paper copies of the contract, or do you want?
I do, no, I do
It
not.
was
I read
emailed.
it.
I saw the email.
Do you want
I'd like to have a copy if you got it, but I read the email. To be honest with you, I was gonna ask you what it said. Well, I mean, I understand
Yeah.
I didn't understand the total, so I'd like you to go over that. I saw
Yeah.
there's different categories and,
Oops, Susan, can I steal your copy?
I don't need a copy.
Okay.
Have them both.
Thank you, thank you. So, this is for, LiDAR, which is for contours of DeKalb County. Our contours haven't been updated since like 2014 or 2017. Maybe doesn't seem like a lot's changed, but there's been a lot of people who've put ponds on their properties since then and have contoured that extra ground. So it'd be important for us to get that updated. So that's what this contract is for. The numbers, do you have specific questions or just wondering why it's expensive?
so all three of these come with the package. We're not picking a package here. This total of 122,000 are all three of these product description items, correct?
Correct.
They come as a package?
Right,
Okay,
right.
that was my question, is they come as a package.
Right, right.
And
So-
who's their competition? I mean, is there other people that can provide this service? I'm
There
sure it would be a
are.
nightmare to change it.
There are other people that can provide the service.
Okay.
We currently use Eagle View for our aerial imagery though.
Okay.
And they're doing a flyover in March of 2023.
So they still do this with airplanes, this isn't done with satellite?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So they'll go through with a laser and beam down, and whatever that laser distance is how they get us our contours.
Sure.
And that's
So.
accurate within inches, correct?
Right, so,
If the airplane flies at the right altitude.
yeah, provided they all fly at the same altitude. That'd be bad. But, yeah, it's great for us, and it's 1 foot contours, and we're currently at 1 foot contours, but they're not exact, distance, if
Okay.
it makes sense. They're 1 foot contours, but it's still off, and surveyors use our contours for platting. You see our contours on the plats. All those are coming from our GIS. They don't go out there and recontour, resurvey the contours unless the surveyor's office would request that they do so. So that's what this is
The
for.
surveyor uses the LiDAR information a lot.
Oh, more so than I do or
Right.
GIS does, yes.
Yeah.
They have equipment, if they need to go out and resurvey for contours, they can, but this would be a huge help for them as well.
Is this in your budget? Is it in
Yes.
your budget?
Yes,
And Chris sent me
yeah,
this as well as the other one that went with it. Other than technical details, which he has the expertise on, I'm fine with it from a
yeah.
And how often do we do this roughly? You said 2014 was the last
14 or
update.
17 was the last time that, and we got those from the state.
From the state?
Yeah, from the state. The state was planning to do flyovers all pre-COVID, and we were going to use theirs. Since then, they've just pushed it back. So I don't know when the state's ever going to do flyovers again. And waiting on them is, as you guys know, is like waiting on paint to dry. It's always going to take longer than you think. So, yeah. And that's why, again, we've went with Eagle View for the pictometry. After the end of this contract is when I'll probably look at other companies to do our pictometry. Eagle View is nationally known. They do DeKalb, Noble, Allen, and it's the county west of us or east of us in Ohio.
Williams.
There you go, Williams. And so for them, it makes sense for us to use them. Otherwise, we'd be the odd man out. So,
Okay.
but
Of course, we could put you up in a plane with a Nikon and just,
Yeah, a Nikon.
yeah,
Looks like 800 foot.
you could do it.
820, right around there.
It might be cheaper than buying or we could just buy the equipment. And
Yeah. Or I
Send
could
him up
just-
there.
I could just write it down. Looks like 820 foot to me.
Now hold on. Hey Susan, did you get that? Take Susan with you.
Right.
Oh god. So anyway, they would fly this in March of 2023, the same time they flew our new imagery. So we'd get everything in probably June, July is when we'd get the stuff back. By the time it takes them to give it to GIS and City of Auburn, put it in our system, make sure, and we need to review it for like a month or 2 months is what they give us to review it before it goes live into our GIS beacon site or goes live for us to use. So it'll be done probably November, December of next year, but at least they'd be updated.
Would the assessor use this too to see like new buildings that were put up maybe?
For
with-
the imagery, yes.
Okay, for the
So
imagery
that's
side.
been something we've worked on with them for a number of years since I've started here is new, because our aerial imagery wasn't updated until 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, that's when it was just updated, 2017. So they were looking for new aerial imagery anyways for assessments and all that.
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Other states that I've been to and I've been on their site, property appraiser, whoever might use the data, they show aerial images. You can go to your property and look at your aerial image going back 15 years, and you can see
Yeah.
it change every year. You can look, oh, there a barn was added. Oh,
Yeah.
there this was added.
So we have from 2012, I believe, is on Beacon.
Okay.
2012, and then, but it's not yearly because it'd be based off of when we receive new aerial imagery.
Right, you'd have to
But,
have.
right,
So
but we
those-
have, that's all on Beacon. You can
So
toggle
those counties
different-
must be
Sorry.
paying for a yearly fee then. They must have flyovers every year.
Probably.
In order to get
Probably.
perfect data
And
like it.
If they have
and
annual
more,
Because they call it pictometry, like you
Right,
said, and you can
right.
see it from different angles. You can
are you
see it
talking
from-
in Florida?
Yeah.
Florida does it every year because their growth is so different.
Yeah, you can see
so
west,
so
east.
much every year.
I mean, you can see angles, wow. You might not see the change from the west view, but then you look the east and go,
Oh, so
"Ooh."
you're talking that too. So we actually do obliques, which gives
Yeah.
us 3D imagery.
Yeah.
So you can see that as well. So on our Eagle View, I'm trying, I think, Susan, you can probably correct me if I'm wrong. Did Jack get that added to his budget? So we can put the obliques on Eagle View, or on Beacon as well, so the average person doesn't have to have an Eagle View contract, or a Eagle View login. They can use Beacon and look at those obliques. So you can see from the north, south, east, west, the sides of your property. Oh, that's where my
Yeah,
air conditioning unit is. you
Yeah,
know.
it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
yeah.
Well, I was just curious.
Emergency management is glad that we have those obliques. They use them a lot, especially if there was a big emergency. If there's someone, locked up in a home somewhere or holding people hostage, they can use those and say, okay, on the west side, there's an upper story window
Yeah.
that it looks like he would make, or appear that that's what you're talking about of where he is, or there's a door here that you could enter if you needed to. So those obliques are good, unless people have changed their property significantly. But, yeah.
what does best practices say as far as the ideal interval to do these? Yearly
Yearly would be nice. Auburn is going to start doing yearly. Well, if they got it in their budget. I don't know if that got any part of that got
cut
cut.
an awful lot.
I know, they cut an awful lot. I don't know how much, I don't know if any of that got cut, but they were planning on using ours for 2023, and then the years that we don't, they want to do flyovers of just Auburn. I think for DeKalb, we've talked about this. I don't think that DeKalb County needs to do yearly. It's expensive. I mean, we're talking, this is $122,000, but our Eagle View pictometry contract is $56,500 a year for 3 years. We're paying it off over 3 years for a flyover every 3 years. So I don't think we need to do it every year. I think if we saw an abundance of growth in an area of DeKalb County, I think we could fly over that area if we needed to update, but that's it.
What's the difference between this and the pictometry contract?
This is only contours.
This is just
This is just the contours. We have our contract signed.
Okay.
Back when we looked at this in 2020, I don't think you were
I wasn't
commissioner
here.
yet.
Yeah.
We signed a 6-year contract with them.
I got you.
We don't have to do the second contract, but we signed it for the first contract. So that's all signed. This is just for contours.
This is contract.
Yeah.
only. All right, gotcha.
Yeah.
I would,
Yeah.
I would move to approve the contract with Pictometry International for the contours flyover with just the president to sign.
Second.
Shouldn't say just the president, but with the president to sign.
A motion and a second on the floor. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thanks. I wanted to update you quickly on I think, well, we're bringing, if we've got a little bit of time, we're bringing that County Road 68 property. I talked to Paul on Friday after I talked to Jim on Thursday or Friday. Or maybe I talked to you Wednesday. Anyway, it's Monday. We're going to bring that on November 7th. With how Paul's work schedule is, obviously he can't come to a commissioners meeting every week like we do. So November 7th is when we're planning to bring his property back to commissioners. Paul will go back out and inspect it that week before. If the county needs to clean up, we'll bring this up at the meeting, but just so you all are aware, we need to find 2 quotes for the cleanup of the property, and it has to go to court. Jim would have to file it with circuit or superior court to get a order to come clean up. Yeah, yeah.
You're not looking at going inside the property.
Right.
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 Even just the outside.
Yeah.
We,
Have permission to go on.
and I have asked Jim too, and Paul as well, to be prepared for you guys to order that cleanup that day if things don't look any better. So going forward with the order potentially that day, and I wanted Paul to have at least some proposals for you all to know how much it's going to cost. Do you have anyone specific that you could think of that we could call to go out and clean that up? I was gonna call you on Friday and ended up spacing it. Do you even have any tow truck people that are gonna want to go out there and I mean, it's gonna be,
Someone like Ivan's Towing would be happy
Okay.
to do the vehicles, I'm sure.
I think
And he's
Ivan-
pretty gruff. He'll just go out there and do it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we have plenty of options there. The appliances and tires, that's a
Yeah.
different story. That's gonna take someone, because tires you just can't throw in the dumpster either.
Right.
They have to be recycled, you know?
No.
and this isn't gonna be a 2-hour job. This is
No,
gonna be
it's gonna be days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's,
with probably a couple sheriffs out there too.
oh yeah, it's unfortunate,
Well, yeah.
but, because I'm a property rights person.
yeah.
But your property rights don't include
Trashing your property.
running an illegal business and also piling trash up. And that's That's the thing. We got to take action on this or it's going to just morph into other
Yeah.
properties.
But I just wanted to get an idea of who we could call. Paul, I asked Paul who he would recommend.
The same attention.
Yeah.
We just don't know who, I mean, I thought about calling the city of Auburn and seeing who they use for property cleanup, but I think a lot of theirs are just demolition and it's the city going out and cleaning up
Yeah.
some trash or mowing the weeds.
Tim,
I'll call Denny Trish and.
Who?
Denny Trish at Tyreville and see,
Okay.
get some suggestions about tire disposal.
right, right.
But I don't know,
Call our friends at Hillbilly Tire, have them go take what's. Hey, they improved their place.
I know,
mean, you know.
I know. They might want them. They'll store them.
There you are.
They'll buy them.
Tim Knott does a lot of demolition.
Does he?
Yeah, he did the building down here. He did the grocery store in Waterloo. So he can maybe have some input or some suggestions.
a lot of
or-
that's just gonna be hauling stuff to Omnisource or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the landfill. I mean, once the vehicles are gone, the rest of it's just
He's did
trash
several of those.
and rats and
Yeah.
other vermin.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Tim Knott, give him a call.
Yeah.
Got it.
He's awful busy, but
Yeah.
who isn't?
Who isn't?
In
That's
that
good.
business,
But we
everybody's
can't
busy.
take him off any drainage projects.
No, that's the thing, though. We can't have,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Appreciate it.
Have a good
All
day.
right.
Okay. The contract.
All right, we have got 20 minutes here. Gentlemen in the office, are you, or in the audience, sorry. Are you here to discuss solar? I am dead. Let's give you 5 minutes, maybe 10 at the most, and then we'll move on with other items.
Andrew Provines, 3920 County Road 75, Butler, Indiana. Also, I've got to say, sometimes you guys actually make it hard to get up here and talk because you guys joke and I can tell you're good people. So it makes it a little tough to get up here and talk about these things, even like you with the director position. You know, we don't want to hire someone for 4 months and then, you know, let them go and then disrupt their lives. I mean, that shows you guys care. So sometimes I have a hard time getting up here and talking.
Right.
So talking about solar, again, I have more questions. I have more questions based on the planning commission meeting, some things said in there, just general items. So one was the screening. I did find in the ordinance where you said that it had to be fully screened. It was after the 200 foot where you take the 200 foot away. So I get that. During that meeting, it was stated that it would be fully screened, like fully screened day one. My question is, does that mean like your whole property, or is that just in front of your house, or is that the full property?
For the,
That would be any adjacent property for a non-participating owner.
So that means the property, like the actual, okay. I didn't know if it just meant, hey, from my front door, I won't see this, or if it meant from my property, I won't see
you won't
this.
see it from your property.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect, that's what I wondered. Setbacks, obviously public meeting, I do just want to state things that I find. I'm going through like 30 different solar ordinances, and I apologize because I'm struggling with splitting ours from theirs because I've got so many in my head. But almost all those do have property setbacks. It's just something I want to know. You know, we have it from the foundation, but like we've said before in the country, it's 400 foot is not much on a foundation of a home in the country. But most of the other counties do have anywhere from 50 all the way to 200 foot. I've found that the most standard is 150 foot from property line. I know that people have covered this on and off. Property value guarantees. I'm just wondering why we decided to not put anything in our ordinance about property value guarantees.
I can answer that for you.
And
It's real simple. How do you define what is devalued your property? Like right now, we're in a housing bubble due to artificially low rates and free money handed out to people, no down payments. When the government now is going to correct with 7% mortgages.
That's my first page.
I'm sorry.
sorry, I might have messed up the order of those.
We're going to, I can't guarantee what your property is going to be worth regardless, and how do we say what factor that it's just going to end up in court? Well, did the solar company cause it? Did rates cause it? Let me give you a little story real quick. I built a very, very nice home along with 3 other people. We bought 16 acres. We were in the woods. We had a farm behind us that's been owned by the same people for 110 years. We built our houses. We get it all beautiful. We learned that Mr. Mutton out of Fort Wayne bought that property. He's going to put a trailer park behind us with 730 homes. And we're in the country. We think we're protected, right? No, and those are going to be 25 foot from my back door. And I could have bought that property. It was for sale. I chose not to buy it. And my view ends at my property line. My rights end at my property line. I can't tell Mr. Mutton what to do with his property, because if the city says, hey, you can put a trailer park there, that's the law. So to guarantee property values, the only way you can guarantee your property value is to buy as far as you can see. And I know that's,
No,
I know that's, I'm not trying to be
No.
obnoxious here. I'm just telling you,
Yeah.
where do property rights end for you, and where do property rights begin for your neighbor? And that's, to guarantee property values is an insane idea. You can't guarantee property values.
and that is a
Would be-
tough.
Because the calculation would be so complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, property values are starting to soften because of mortgage rates.
Right.
Yeah.
So, in the solar, there's no solar there yet.
Okay.
So I think the calculation would be impossible, and I doubt, and I had a little conversation at the Supreme Court meeting Friday over lunch about some things like that. Nobody can see how that would stand up to a court test at all.
If I could, though, I would like to just give you a real quick, instead of going through this all again.
Yeah.
We had public hearings. People came. We talked about setbacks. We talked about screening. We talked about decommissioning. We talked about bonds in place to handle the decommissioning. That was the time. The ordinance is in place, and I have no intentions of reopening the ordinance, but I will tell you how I feel about solar. I think commercial solar doesn't make any sense at all economically without funny money involved. Now, with that said, I believe a farmer should be able to do whatever he wants with his property if the taxes are paid properly. In other words, farm ground's taxed at a ridiculously low rate, but it is intentionally because crops, we need food. And so we tax it lower, so they make us food, we all benefit from it. If it gets converted to solar, that's fine, as long as they pay their taxes. Now, when abatements start talking about, you're gonna see a different attitude from me at that point. I'm all about property rights if we all pay the same tax. And I think, we can talk about all you want about how the solar is going to contaminate the water. There's no proof of that anywhere in the country, that it's actually had to be cleaned up due to a failed solar panel. We can talk about glare. I can tell you, as a pilot, I fly over them all the time. I've never been glared from a solar panel. What's really, let's be honest with each other. You don't want to look at them, and I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to look at them either. I wouldn't want it surrounding my house. And that's exactly why I moved back into town. I now have a view that's protected because of the ordinances that are in place in town. Now, I can't shoot my guns. I can't park vehicles out there, more than a certain amount of vehicles. I have restrictions. So do you want freedom or do you want control? And that's what it really comes down to. You move in town if you want control and you want to have a protected look. You move out in the country, you want your freedom, but with it comes some disadvantages. And I think that's what the real key is. Let's just be honest. You don't want to look at them. I get it. But there's no way the property value is going to get protected. Well, that we're going into communism at that point. In other words,
I will agree with you in that I don't want to look at them. I do not want to look at them. That's one reason.
I agree.
But bigger than that reason, even more, is the wildlife in the area. That is my favorite thing about the country. The fact that there is wildlife everywhere. And there will not be.
Oh, well,
I would argue with you.
I have deer in my backyard in town.
I'm just saying, it has been proven they do not like the hum. They do not like being around there. So I'm just stating my other one. I have a few more things.
I'm not doubting that.
Yep.
But do you own that property that the wildlife would be on?
Some of it.
Well, I understand. What I'm saying is you can't control the wildlife either. You're going to say,
Right, but
next,
we're
well, I want to guarantee
prohibiting.
I have 3 deer per month in my
But
backyard.
we're prohibiting the wildlife.
I would argue about the hum. I would invite you to go out to the Auburn Renewables.
I have. It has a hum and it has a terrible smell. I've been out there 3 times in the last 2 weeks. I've gone out there on multiple days at multiple times so I could hear the hum, so I could smell it.
I've never-
and it smells terrible.
I've never
It smells
heard-
like burning electricity. Not burning. I would say, like smoldering wire smell. That's what it smells like out there.
Like ozone?
I'm honestly not sure that I know exactly.
Does have a
Maybe.
smell?
Yes, it does have a
Seriously,
smell.
it has a smell?
It does. The times I've been out there, it smelled weird.
I do want to make one quick comment on what Todd said.
Yep.
We are not advocating that anybody can do whatever they want to do with their property.
Yeah.
Right.
My comment from the beginning is everybody who owns property has a right to realize the maximum benefit and value of their property, as long as it's, they have a right to sell to anybody they want to, as long as the use of that property is legal and fits all of the criteria.
And,
So I
and
just
what I
wanna
would
be
say
clear
about Todd's
that.
comment, I agree. I don't like limiting people to what they can do on their land. The part I don't like, and where I would say that that ability ends, is when it starts to decrease my property value or the way I use my property. You should be able to use your property for what you want, unless you're adversely affecting a direct neighbor or a neighbor.
Well, and again, I'll give you I used to shoot my guns every week.
Mm-hmm.
If they put a trailer park behind me, I'm not shooting my guns anymore.
Right.
And I'm now looking at trailers.
Right.
And at the time, I had a house that was, it would have devalued my house in half. And I made the decision when that came out, I'm moving back in town. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. And that's just progress. That's unfortunate.
And you'd have the same
You-
situation,
yeah.
Andrew, if New Millennium or somebody else wanted to buy that chunk of property and put a mini mill there or something. I mean,
Right.
you can talk property values all day long and how that's affected.
It would take a
But that-
rezone, et cetera. I mean, and I get it. There's an overlay.
And that would be
So I-
easily accomplished.
But we could put a pig farm right there with no rezone.
That example you used with the pig farm, actually, I don't like that one. And the only reason I don't like it is I'm on agriculture ground. I wouldn't be happy with it, but I would expect it because it's agriculture ground.
Can I tell you something?
As opposed to solar, I
lived
would
in-
not expect.
I lived in Hunter's Glen. I sold that house, and that was in town because the pig farm that Mr. Smith had on 35 on a calm day, when it was a moist, calm morning.
Oh, yeah, it
It was
sticks.
so bad that
It
I would
stinks.
throw up in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying there are worse things than the solar
I
that can
got it.
come in agriculture. And
But
when we
I wouldn't be happy with that either, but I would kind of expect it because it's agriculture.
okay, all right. Well, I just want to make
I
sure.
will
I'm
say
saying-
that Kosciuszko County did put in a PVG. They offered basically inside their ordinance, they have a property value guarantee. And it states that offered to all residents and landowners within 2 miles, baseline is formed as here's your property value, a baseline is formed. And if they are unable to sell them, then the developer, it's on them to either pay the difference for what they can sell them for, or by property value, fair market value at the time. So Kosciuszko County did offer their residents a PVG. Not that
And-
we will, I'm just saying they did.
They did.
Yeah.
And I
But-
do
but
understand your points about the difficulty of that.
Kosciuszko is also aware that may not survive a court challenge.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out that it is in there. There's just a lot of little things. You go out, and like I said, I read like 30 different solar ordinances. I'm mixing them all together, and there's little things, even to the point of like the wildlife. Some of them actually have the friendly fences that let the wildlife pass freely underneath them and move around more freely. I talked to, like I said, I think here before, I talked to DNR, and then I said, will they move around those fences? He's like, oh, they can totally jump those fences. They never will. He's like, they just won't. Animals take the easiest path. They're going to go around it unless they're being chased or something of that nature. They're not gonna typically. But I like some of those things like friendly fences. Yeah, let's put friendly fences in. Let's let our wildlife move.
Would a kid crawl through a friendly fence?
That's a good question. I mean, there's issues both ways. I'm just saying, we're limiting. It's not a small. If it were like a 55-acre farm like over in Auburn, that's honestly, in the whole scheme of things, that's where most of our knowledge lies on historical and whether it affects property value, that kind of thing. There's smaller farms that we've had longer to, study. But I can just avoid that by not driving down a road. I can avoid that. This one is set to encompass, by me, 1,800 acres. You don't just avoid that. So I did get my letter from Hogwarts yesterday. And this is just another, I'll touch on this one quick. I'm struggling because a couple weeks ago, it was either a couple weeks ago or last week, I had that conversation about how do you hold a company that big accountable? If they do damage, if they don't take care of the area, whatever the case may be. So I'm just struggling with all the half-truths in these. This letter says, that's enough to power approximately 34,000 households annually. Yes, it is. It's big enough to do that. However, half-truths, they make people think that's what they're doing. They're not powering households with that. It's being sold on the open market. Or, no noise, smells, or pollution. Well, that's not true either. They're polluting to create those panels. They're polluting after the fact, and it does smell over there. They did a door knocking campaign. I asked the exact same question when they did that to them as a couple other people, the exact same question. I got a different answer than they did. I asked about, can it be sold off? Yeah, but they have to abide by every single thing in the original contract. And then another one asked the exact same question. Well, contracts can be renegotiated. So they're just not giving us all the same info, not giving us the same information. And here it says, we attended the annual free fall fair as a 4-H sponsor. They weren't on the sponsor list. And when we called the fair board said, we didn't even know they were solar. They were a last minute entry. They wanted to sponsor a 4-H day. And they didn't tell us they were solar at all. They said they just wanted to give some money and just be out there. And so, we got wind of that and called the fair board. They're telling us this, and we're like, can we come out there? And they didn't want to let us, obviously, because they don't want controversial topics. It's a fair. No one wants to have solar shoved down their throat or anti-solar shoved down their throat. So, we went out there and we just stood. We weren't allowed to approach, which is good. We just stood there. If anyone wanted info, we gave it to them. But, that's hiding the truth. So the Thalassa project recently, actually last week, sent out information to meet the neighbors at Byler Winery. And Byler Winery was unaware there was anything solar coming there. And the word they used was deceptive.
I'm not sure, Andrew, you want to hang your hat on that. I've spent a good lot of time on the phone with Eldon and Rachel.
I know you have.
Saturday morning, and I think everybody, and I mean everybody, lost a lot of credibility over that episode. And aside from the mishandling on the solar company's end, I think threatening the livelihood of a local company because they were conducting business, which is what they do, rent their facility to other people, I think that's just inexcusable.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But that is exactly my point. And I'm hoping, it's like, what do we do about this? They need to tell the truth. They need to not hide or be deceptive about what they're doing. They just need to tell the truth and let people know, hey, Byler, we are a solar company. We'd like to have a meeting at your place, and let them make the decision as opposed to hiding it.
We need to cut this off for now.
You're good. Yes, I appreciate your time.
And looking on down the road, I think you really need to make an appointment, get on the agenda.
I can do that.
That way, you've got a set amount of time. We're trying to be accommodating, but we do have other business that we are.
And honestly, I appreciate that from all you guys.
I think, quite frankly, Andrew, I think it's not productive to rehash this thing week after week after week.
Most of this was not a rehash. This was new stuff. Them lying to the companies, that's new.
Yeah.
But I agree. I will start getting on the agenda. And so far, 3 weeks of you guys letting me do this, I do appreciate that time. So
Well, I appreciate your comments.
Yeah, I do too.
There was a time, though, to discuss the ordinance.
I know.
It was advertised, we had great discussion, and our restrictions are about as tight as they get. If you look at the other restrictions in the county, we went above and beyond. We started a 200-foot setback.
I was told that we actually vied for like a 600-foot setback.
We talked about it, but I'm just saying, we looked at all the ordinances and we went above and beyond. And like I said, I wouldn't want to look at them either. Let's just be honest, you don't want to look at them. And I agree.
That's one of the reasons, yes.
I know.
That is, I'm not denying that's one of the reasons.
But when I get emails from people saying, well, the groundwater is going to get contaminated. I'm like, do you realize what farmers put in the ground that ends up in the groundwater? Do you realize
everything will pollute?
We have faulty septic systems in the county that are far more
pump right into the ditch.
hazardous than anything solar ever.
But to say that isn't a concern whatsoever, it has been shown that it has happened in other parts of the country in different areas. Now, do they have as good as solar panels? Whatever. I mean, there's a lot. There's articles on both sides. So,
If we had to protect everybody against every single eventuality or possibility or potential thing, we'd never have any industry in DeKalb County.
there has to
So,
be movement. I get it.
It's a matter of probability and realistic potential.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay. Jeff's not in. Elizabeth? Come on up. We'll get you going.
Morning.
Did you all get the breakdown that Jeff sent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm Elizabeth Mason, I'm Jeff's partner, and he is at a funeral today, which is why you get me. We are looking at the renewals of Xerox equipment for 2023. We were informed a couple of weeks ago that there will be a substantial increase on November 1st. And so normally we would come to you in December or January with these renewals, but we want to come now to help save a little bit of money up front. So although nothing will change until end of lease, we're looking for a commitment that, yes, you do want to move forward with the renewals. So right now there are 6 machines that are actually up in February of 2023. They are listed on your sheets. There are differences in just a couple of them. Just a second. The surveyor's office is getting an integrated finisher, which gives them additional staple capability that's not on their current machine. The circuit court machine is increasing in speed to be consistent with the other machines that are in the courthouse. And Superior Court is gaining color to match the other court machines. Those are the biggest differences. There is a machine currently at the coroner's office that we should look at. If there is room in the budget for this year, we would recommend buying a machine for that office now. If there is not, we would look at it in 2023. The current machine does not have any service or supply agreements with it. And so if anything happens to that machine right now, you're going to be forced to do something with it sooner rather than later. The other 2 that we really want to take a look at in 2023 are the sheriff machines. Those come up in August and December next year. We don't want to even look at those until the beginning of the year because we're introducing new models and we don't have any of that information yet, but keep that one tucked away. Overall, the increases based on budgets is only about a 1.5% increase over this year's numbers, as best as we can see what you're paying and what your volumes are. At the bottom of your sheet, you see the estimated 2023 operational costs. Those do not include the costs for community corrections or 4D. Those work on their own budgets and are handled differently than your budget. You have questions?
Any questions?
I talked to, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. So it's replacing a black and white machine. That's what the B stands for, and it's replacing it with color. So it goes from a B 8045 to a C 8145. That is correct. Okay. So today what we're looking for is a commitment that you want to move forward. I brought lease agreements for that, but know that nothing will happen until your end of lease opportunity in February.
What do you think? Gentlemen?
I'm good with it. I'd make a motion to sign the contract to lock in the rates.
I will second.
A motion and a second on the floor. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We can sign. Or I can sign, or...
Right.
Oh,
Well, that was the one thing I wanted to hold out on. I wanted to, so if I need to amend my emotion on that, the corners machine, I'd like to know the usage of it. Because if it's not under contract and we'd have to worry about repairs and such, that's fine if it's not getting used a lot. You know, we can, if it's a very low-use machine, we maybe don't need to have it under contract. I'm sorry, I forgot to bring that up. No, that's okay. Right, but we could find something to work in there, even a cheap all-in-one or whatever you call multi-purpose, just to get us by. So, yeah, I would amend my motion to hold out the corners
I'll
machine
go
for
for
now.
that.
Yeah,
I'll amend my second to match your
Okay.
amendment.
yes, all right.
Okay, a motion and a second. We'll redo here. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carries. So just sign this one.
You're going to sign all of them in that.
You need a stamp?
Yes, probably.
Have a good one. You get my cough, Jim? I saw you coughing. Did I get you sick? Oh. Uh-huh.
You look healthy.
Yeah. That'd be bad, wouldn't it?
Right. And
Road's done. DeSantis said it would be done by the end of October, and it was done 2 weeks early.
here's the other one.
Boy, would he make a good president.
Make a good Indiana governor.
That's true. Definitely gets things done.
We're managed by Hilton, and they have.
I do.
Yeah, they were doing that. Except for the boats were hitting things in the water. There were sunken boats that other boats were hitting, didn't see them, and crazy. Oh, they're there. I think the numbers are 10 times what they're reporting. Yeah, it's called skin exfoliation. It's good for you.
I'll let you be the judge of that, and I'll check it out from a distance.
So in other words, don't get in the water. Yeah.
All right, Susan. All right, I need a nap. Wore me out.
You're gonna need an ace bandage for your hand.
No kidding. Well, we got 5 minutes to break.
5 minutes to break, yeah.
What you got?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? The same, motion carries.
I have something that will take 90 seconds of what's left. I talked with Rita yesterday. The marker for the cemetery at Sunny Meadows has been set, and she said it looks really good.
Good.
They're having a little memorial dedication service on Friday at 1 o'clock for that. She said probably 10 minutes or so. And she wanted to make sure that we were all invited, and if we wanted to come out and participate with that or say a few words. And
When is this again?
this Friday at 1
Friday?
o'clock, yeah.
I think I can make that.
1 o'clock, yeah. 1 o'clock,
1 o'clock.
yeah,
Make that.
okay.
I have something just real quick.
That only
then.
took 45 seconds.
Okay.
So go.
A1 Janitorial submitted a quote September 12th for Central Communications to clean it. Weekly, or twice a week, they would clean it, plus they would do basically the windows inside and out once a year. But it's $1,040 a month. I mean, that's quite a bit of change. I mean, it's a decent sized building. I'm not saying their quote's too high. I'm not trying to cast a bad light here. It's just, that's $12,400 or $12,500 a year. It's a lot of money to clean a single building. I want your thoughts whether we should seek another quote or not.
I thought we approved that already.
Did we ever approve that?
I'm sure we did. Yeah.
I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
I thought I presented it, but I didn't think we took action on it. Was I here when you approved it? I wasn't here when you approved it then.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's the COVID that got to you.
Yeah, all right. Just don't listen to me the rest of the day, please.
No, we'll listen. We'll cut you some slack.
All right, so you probably voted on the one I wasn't here then.
I'm sure we did.
All right, never mind.
I'm sure we said, Todd's not here, let's vote on it today.
Yeah. By the way, we did vote that you have the next four pledge allegiance.
All right, that's not a problem.
Let's take a break.
All right. I'll second that.
I will be bringing you, Susan, also a bill of sale to sign on the box truck and bring you a check today, okay?